Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Savita from Maharaja Agrasen University, Baddi, Himachal Pradesh. Today, we are going to talk on module Perfect Competition under the paper Managerial Economics. After completing this module, the students will be able to understand the concept of perfect competition, various features of perfect competition, difference between pure and perfect competition, and price determination under perfect competition. Perfect competition is the name given to a market for a commodity in which a large number of unorganized buyers and sellers compete with one another in the purchase and sale of a commodity without having any individual influence over the market price of the commodity. So, it is a market structure in which there are large number of buyers and sellers exchanging homogeneous product without any interference of the government. According to Professor Leftwich, perfect competition is a market in which there are many firms selling identical products with no firm large enough relative to the entire market to be able to influence market price. This definition tells us that perfectly competitive market is without any kind of monopoly element or control from the buyers and sellers side. Mrs. Joan Robinson has defined perfect competition in terms of price elasticity of demand. According to her, perfect competition prevails when the demand for the output of each producer is perfectly elastic. In nutshell, we can say that perfectly competitive market is a situation where large number of buyers and sellers are buying and selling products produced by all producers are homogeneous. All producers under perfectly competitive market have to accept price which is settled by two forces, that is demand and supply in the market. Golden principle is one market, one price operates completely and continuously under perfect competition. Features or conditions for perfect competition. Professor Kortswanis has used the word assumptions instead of characteristics or features, but the other economists have used the word features. A perfect competitive market has the following features, that is, large number of buyers and sellers. Under perfect competition, numbers of buyers and sellers are in a large numbers, but each seller and buyer sells or buys a small quantity of the output. Individual sellers or buyers cannot influence the supply or demand individually. Individual sellers is price taker. Price is settled with the two forces of demand and supply by an industry in perfect competition. Identical products of different sellers. The sellers in the perfectly competitive market are supposed to sell completely homogeneous products. These products must be considered to be identical by all the buyers in the market. There should not be any differentiation of products by sellers by way of quality, variety, color, design, packing, or other selling conditions of product. Thus, in a perfectly competitive market, buyers have no other basis of attaching to one seller or the other and purchasing a seller product on any basis other than price. Free entry and exit of firms. In perfectly competitive market, every firm is free to join or leave the industry. There is free entry and exit of the firms in industry under perfect competition. Firms may enter to share profit and may leave to avoid losses. Firms are not legally or socially bound to enter or exit the industry. This condition must be satisfied especially for long period equilibrium of the industry. Profit maximization. Under perfect competition, all the firms have a common goal of profit maximization. No other goal is being pursued by any firm. Perfect knowledge among buyers and sellers about market conditions. Both buyers and sellers must be having perfect knowledge about the market conditions in which they are operating. Sellers must know the prices being quoted by other sellers in the market. Similarly, the buyers must know the prices being charged by different sellers so that they try to purchase from a seller charging the lowest price. Technically, it means neither the buyer nor the sellers can exploit of the party through misguiding. Perfect mobility of goods and factors. There is perfect mobility of goods and factors under perfect competition between industries. One can sell goods at those places where these goods can fetch higher prices, and similarly, a factor can move to any industry where he can be paid more. No firm has a monopoly over price and factor of production. Lack of transportation costs. Under perfect competition, transportation cost will not influence the price of the product. There will not be any change in the price due to location of different sellers. Lack of selling cost. There is no selling cost under perfect competition. A seller doesn't spend on advertisements to sell his product because all firms are producing homogeneous products. No government interventions. There is absence of state or government in the market. It means the government is not imposing any type of tariff subsidies on the demand of a commodity. So, firm is a price taker. Difference of firm and industry. A firm is a single unit which is engaged in the production of identical product, whereas an industry is a group of different firms producing same product. A firm is a price taker, whereas industry is a price maker under perfect competition. In short, a perfectly competitive market is that model market in which there is only one price of the product for all the buyers and sellers. Nobody can do anything on his own to change the market determined price. Pure and perfect competition. An American economist, Professor E. Chamberlain, has used the term pure competition. Pure competition is a narrow, whereas perfect competition is a wider term. Professor Chamberlain has included 5 features under pure competition, that is large number of buyers and sellers, homogeneous products, free entry and exit of firms, lack of selling cost and lack of transportation costs. Professor R. A. Bulas also distinguished perfect and pure competition as perfect competition implies pure competition. but also consider other characteristics. Pure competition implies one degree of perfection, the complete absence of monopoly. Generally, perfect competition will introduce the notion of perfect resources, mobility, and perfect knowledge. Thus, when we include two more features, that is perfect knowledge and perfect mobility of factors of production, along with the feature of pure competition, then it would be called perfect competition. Now, it is questioned sometimes whether perfect competition is a reality or myth. Some economists said that it may be found in case of agricultural commodities. Farmers compete with each other quite unconsciously because none of them is able to influence the price of products in the market. But we cannot say that the market for other commodities is also anywhere near perfect competition. We commonly find that in actual market conditions of perfect competition are being violated in one way or the other. This gives us the impression that perfect competition is a myth. The different violations of perfect competitions are: products are differentiated through packing, color, methods of selling, and advertisement. Some buyers or sellers, even in the competitive market, may be having individual influence. There are many problems to the mobility of labor. Demand and supply of many commodities are regulated by the government. Entry to many industries is blocked by economic, legal, or institutional factors. So, keeping in view the above factors, we can say that perfect competition is only a theoretical concept. It has no relevance to reality. Now, the important question arises: if it has nothing to do with the reality, then why we study this market and its determination? Here are some reasons for the study of perfect competition. Perfect competition is an ideal organization of the market that can serve as a good perspective to compare the actual allocation of resources with the ideal what is and what ought to be. Study of perfect competition pricing has given birth to much of the present day welfare economics. It is good simplification to start teaching price theory. Having done this, we can go on to study more complicated and presumably more realistic analysis of price determination. There is indeed some practical utility in the study of perfect competition. Perfect competition was a standard model of a market with the classical economists, although some classical economists were aware of the non-existence of some of the assumptions of pure and perfect competition in the actual markets. They thought it better to take the standard form of the market and build up a theoretical structure on it rather than being held up in building economic theory by the existence of a few imperfections. Price determination under perfect competition. The price determination under perfect competition can be explained under three situations, that is, market period price, short period price, and long period price. In case demand decreases, some quantity can be put into stock, whereas in case demand decreases, supply can be increased by bringing the quantity from the store. Market price is the price of a good which prevail at any given time. To study price determination in such a market, goods are divided into two parts, that is perishable goods and durable goods. Perishable goods. Perishable goods are those goods which perish very quickly and cannot be stored or kept back, as fish, vegetables, milk, etc. They will go waste if stored. Therefore, the whole of the given stock has to be sold in the market at whatever price is available. So, in market period, supply curve is perfectly inelastic. It is parallel to y-axis. It can be shown in a following figure. This diagram depicts the price determination of market period price. MS is the supply curve, DD is the initial demand curve which intersects the supply curve MS at E. The equilibrium price is OP and the quantity demanded and supplied is equal to OM. Now, due to a sudden rise in the demand for product shifted DD to D1, D1. Now, the new equilibrium is at point E1 and the price increases to OP1. If demand increases, the demand curve shifted to D2, D2 and the new equilibrium price becomes OP2. This shows that in case of perishable goods, price increases or decreases with the change in demand, supply being perfectly inelastic. Durable goods. In case of durable goods, supply up to some extent can be increased or decreased from stock but afterward becomes perfectly inelastic. Supply of these goods can be increased even in market period but supply is restricted till the stock ends. In this case, firm has some minimum reserve price below which these firms would not be ready to sell these products. When price starts to decrease below the minimum reserve price, firms stock the goods and wait till demand rises and prices start to increase more than the level of minimum price. So, supply can be increased and decreased even in market period, but only up to the quantity lying in the stock. Market price of durable goods is determined with the forces of demand and supply. This can be shown in the following figure. In this figure, quantity is measured on OX axis and price is taken on OY axis. DD is the demand curve and TS is the total supply of durable goods in the market period. OM is the total supply of durable goods. Minimum price is set at OT if the demand curve is D1, D1 and it intersects the supply curve TES at point E1. The equilibrium price is OP1. A shift in the demand curve from DD1 to DD show an increase in demand and along with it is the new equilibrium price rises from OP1 to OP. Thus, the further increase in demand beyond DD will have only the effect of raising the price and the quantity supplied remains unchanged. Short period is that period in which supply is adjusted to the limited extent. It means supply is adjusted up to the existing production capacity. With the increase in demand, supply can be increased through overworking factors of production. In short, period, a producer can exchange only variable factors of production while fixed factors remain fixed. This diagram shows equilibrium of industry. Initially, demand and supply equalize on point E, determining OP price which will be taken by the firm as given, and firms earn just normal profits. In case demand increases, demand curve shift upward to D dash D dash, resulting into change in equilibrium on point Q. Accordingly, firms' average revenue and marginal revenue curve shift upward, and the firm will attain equilibrium on point Q, earning excess profit. In case demand decreases, demand curve shift downward to D dash D dash 2, resulting into equilibrium in the industry on point T. Accordingly, AR or MR of the firm shift downward. The firm attains equilibrium in A diagram. The firm undergoes loss but will continue as it fulfills the variable cost. Hence, it is proof that in short run, firm faces three possibilities, that is, earn excess profit, earn normal profit, or loss. Long period is that period where fixed factors of production becomes variable. So, in long run, all factors of production become variable. The price which is settled in long period is called as normal price. In long period, supply is fully adjusted to demand. In this period, equipments, plants, old machines can be replaced with new ones. There is free entry and exit of firms in long period under perfect competition. In long period, neither excess profit nor loss can occur. Only normal profits will occur, and price thus determined called normal price. So, normal price is a price which tends to prevail in the market in long period. So, it is a probable but not a real price. In long period, supply are in equilibrium. At that point, normal price will be determined. In the long period, there is no tendency of new firms to enter into market and old firms to leave the industry. Industry attains equilibrium as usual, where demand equalizes supply. In case of firm, if there is excess profit, new firms will enter into the market. If there is loss, some firms will leave the market. Only those firms will attain equilibrium which earns just normal profit. It means in a long period, firm will attain equilibrium where three conditions are satisfied. Firstly, MC is equal to MR. Secondly, MC cuts MR from its below, and lastly, MC is equal to MR is equal to AR is equal to AC. In this diagram, industry attain equilibrium where demand and supply are equal to each other. Firm attain equilibrium where all the three conditions are applicable. Firm earn just normal profit. Normal price and law of increasing return. Normal price is also influenced by the law of returns. Whenever there is a change in demand, then there will also be a change in the supply of the product in long period. When there is a change in the supply, it affects the cost of production of a firm due to the operation of laws of returns to scale. Change in supply will bring a change both in long run marginal and long run average cost. Whenever cost change, it will bring a change in the normal price. So, in long period, price is always equal to minimum average cost. Law of increasing return and normal price. It is also called law of diminishing cost. Under the law of increasing return, the per unit cost, that is average cost, will start to fall with the increase in the volume of production. Marginal cost will also fall under this law. In this diagram, assesses supply curve which slopes downward. It shows that when producer increases the production, cost decreases. DD is a demand curve which intersects supply curve SS at point E, and OP is the equilibrium price. ON is the equilibrium output. When demand increases, demand curve shifted to D1 and intersects supply curve SS at point E1. With increase in demand, prices will fall to OP1. So, we can say that under law of increasing returns, normal price would fall when demand increases and normal price would rise if demand falls. Normal price and law of constant returns. Under the law of constant return, long period supply curve is parallel to OX axis and it is horizontal. This shows that the per unit cost of production will remain the same as the volume of output is increased or decreased. When industry is operating under law of constant return, price will remain unaffected by an increase or decrease in demand. This can be shown by the diagram. In this diagram, quantity and price are measured on OX and OY axis. SS is the long period supply curve of constant cost industry. DD and SS intersect at point E. At OX, quantity price is determined at OP. When demand increases, demand curve shift upward, but price will remain unaffected. There will be no change in price under law of constant returns. Normal price and law of diminishing return. It is also known law of increasing cost. An increasing cost industry is one in which external diseconomies are more powerful than external economies. Long period supply curve slopes upward when law of diminishing return or law of increasing cost operates. Per unit cost will increase as more output is produced. To meet the extra demand, cost of production increases. With the increase in cost of production, price also increases. This shows that price varies directly as the amount supplied varies. It can be shown by following diagram. In this diagram, SS is supply curve and DD is a demand curve. Both intersect at E and OP prices determined. When demand curve shifts to DD1 with the increase in demand, it coincides supply curve at E1. To produce OQ1 more quantity, cost increases, price is raised to OP1 from OP. So, it is observed that under law of diminishing returns, with the rise in demand, price rises, and with the fall in demand, price falls. So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. Perfect competition is an ideal market structure where the same price is quoted by every seller and accepted by all the buyers. The firm in the market is price taker. There is a perfect mobility of factors of production and is no barrier, legal or market related, on the entry of new firms into or exit of existing ones from the industry. There is no government intervention with the working of the market system. In short run, a firm in a perfectly competitive market may be in a position to earn economic profit. In long run, no firm is in a position to earn economic profit, nor does any firm make losses. So, there is only normal profit in long run. Thank you.